Okay, so we're doing factorization. Now let's look at factorization of algebraic expression. Now we also have factorization of equations. Now with the equations, it means that it must have an equal to zero, but an expression has no equal to zero. Now what is a trinomial? So a trinomial is already in the name. Tri means three, and then mia means term. So it means that we are dealing with a three term. Now with the three term we are looking at an expression that has only one letter representing all, or only one letter being appearing in the expression. So what we have ax squared plus bx plus c. So we have x appearing in all. Now it is not always going to be x. It can be m squared followed by m and no m. It can be n squared followed by n and no n. It always has to be one letter. Now there are cases where it is not always one letter. It can be two letters, but we are not going into that now. Now when you have any trinomial quadratic in this format, now what does it mean? Now we are looking at three terms because plus and minus the three terms. So we have ax squared being one term, bx being a second term, and then c being a third term. So any expression in this format, you can easily count the number of terms because it is separated with a plus and a minus. So the ABC are just values and they are called coefficient constant or coefficient values, or I call coefficient numbers. So they are numbers of values that are attached to the variables. So the variable here we're using is x. So always a trinomial quadratic must have the highest power of x to be 2 for it to be a quadratic. So we have x squared followed by x and then no x. Always it has to be arranged in this format. X squared followed by x, then no x. Always. So if they should give you any quadratic expression in this format and it is not arranged in the x square or it is not arranged with the square coming first, you have to arrange it. That's the order of things. Okay, so ABC represents coefficient constant. Let's take an example. So we're taking this example, 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. Now, if I should compare it with the quadratic form, which is the ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, we can easily find our a, we can easily find our b, we can easily find our c. Since they are just coefficient constant, they are numbers attached to the variable, we can easily find them. So we are just going to compare the two expressions. And when you compare, now what is our A? So if I should compare with the actual question, our A is 2. And then what is our B? Our B is going to be negative 3 because we are looking at everything attached to X. Now we have negative also being part of the 3. So we have B to be negative 3. And then we also have C to be 1. That has no X. So that one becomes 1. And I'm betting from here you understand how to find the ABC because we are going to use the ABC to find or to help us solve for factorization. Okay, so I have a try question for you and I'm expecting answers. Each and every single one of them, we are going to find A, B, and C. And so I give everything to you. You can pause and then you can solve. Then after that, you can continue with the video. Okay, so now let's look at steps involved when you want to factorize an expression. The same applies when it comes to equation. But if you have or if you get the idea from here, you can easily do for equation. Yeah. So let's take this example, even though I'm going to use the steps in solving this very question. If you should follow the same steps, I'm betting you get your final answer. So step 1, we are going to multiply the coefficients A and C to get AC. Now what does it mean? It means that we are supposed to find our A, B, and C. So from this example, we know that A is 1, we also know B is 1, and then we know C is a negative 6. Okay, so C is also a negative 6. So we are going to multiply A and C. So we are going to have 1 times 6 or 1 times negative 6. Now we are going to look for factors, and that is why I didn't use the negative in multiplying the 1. You can use the negative 6 to multiply 1. You are going to get a negative 6 as your final AC. And if I should use just the 6 to multiply the 1, I'm also going to find the same factors. Now for this example and for all examples I'm going to use all positive just to make things more clear. So step 1 is to multiply your A and your C. So after multiplying your A and your C, we move to step 2. Now with step 2, we are going to find factors for the A times C answer you got. So for the first step, we got 6. Now we are going to write these factors in pair. Now what number, if I should multiply by itself or by a certain number, I'm going to get 6. So these are the factors. And the number when I'm going to multiply another number, I mean 6. So if I should take 1 times 6 will give me 6. So it means that the first factor is 1, 6. I'm going to write it in pair form. I'm not going to write all of them together. So in pair, it means that 1 times 6 will give me 6. Then what again? When we multiply by another number, we are going to get 6. And then we know 2 and 3 will also give us 6. Now, okay, so after finding your 2, or after finding all your possible factors, now this is what you are going to do. We are going to add and subtract to see which one will give us the B. We are going to take the factors one by one. So if I should take the first one, 1 and 6. 1 and 6, let's add. If I should add 1 and 6, I'm going to get 7. Any answer I get, I must make sure it replaces the B. 1 and 7, 1 plus 6 is going to give us 7. We don't have 7 as our B, but we have 1 as our B. So if I should subtract 1 from 6, I'm going to get 5. If I should subtract 6 from 1, I'm going to get negative 5. It's still not going to work. So it means that 1, 6 is not going to work. So we don't need 1, 6. Now we come to 2, 3. Now with the 2, 3, I must get a positive x, positive 1. Our B is a positive 1. So how do I get the positive 1? So which one should I subtract from which one to get the 1? So if I should subtract 3 from 2, I'm not going to get 1, I'm going to get negative 1. So it means that I have to subtract the 2 from 3 to get 1. Okay, so it means that if I should subtract 2 from 3, I'm going to get my 1 to replace the B. Now what does it mean? It means that the B column is going to have an X attached to it. Now since it's going to have an X attached to it, now let's add the X to our subtraction. So if I should take the 3, I'm going to add X. So we have 3X minus 2X. So 3X minus 2X is going to give us 1 of the X. So instead of writing just the plus X, we are going to replace the X with the new factors we've gotten. That is the 3X minus 2. So after finding your factors, check which one, either by adding or subtracting, can replace your B, which is 1. So after checking, we saw that our second pair of points can replace the B by subtracting 2 from 3. So after subtracting your 2 from 3, you are going to replace, that is the last step, you are going to replace the B, which is the plus X, with 3X minus 2X. Therefore, the equation becomes X squared plus 3X minus 2X minus 6. Because with our 3X minus 2X, we are still going to get our plus X. So we didn't do anything here, we just expanded our X. Okay, so still with the step 3. So after expanding, the next thing we are going to do with step 4 is to group. So we are going to use the method of grouping. So I can just group them in pairs. So it means that first pair is going to be x squared plus 3x. And then the second pair is going to be 2x minus 6. So we have 2 pairs of brackets. Now what we are going to do here is to look for common terms for each bracket, common term for each bracket. Now, if I should take the first bracket, which is x squared plus 3x, what is common? Now, from the first bracket, we can see that x is common. Now, since x is common, then it means I can bring that common factor out. Now, if I should look at the second bracket, we have 2x minus 6. What is common? X is not common with the second bracket, but 2 is common because 2 is a factor of 2 itself, and 2 is also a factor of 6. So 2 is common. So if I should bring 2 out from that one, 2, it means I'm going to get similar bracket. So if I should bring x from the first bracket, we'll be left with x plus 3. If I should bring negative 2, because we have a negative out, so if I should bring 2 to come and add up to the negative, so it means I'm bringing negative 2 out. So if I should bring negative 2 out, what will be left in the second bracket? We'll be left with x plus 3. Now, you may be asking why is it plus? The reason why it is plus is because if I should expand the bracket, I'm going to get my negative 6. So if negative 2 times x, I'm going to get negative 2x. And then negative 2 times 3, I'm going to get negative 6. If I should leave it as a negative, it's going to be positive 6. The question is not a positive 6. It is a negative 6. So since our two brackets are the same, then it means that what we have outside, that is the x, and then the negative 2, will also be put into one bracket. So this is the final answer when you are factorizing. Final answer. So now let's say this is just the first example. So with the first example, the understanding is not that clear. So let's look at our second example. So with our second example, we have factorize 3x squared minus 2x minus 5. 3x squared minus 2x minus 5. So now our first thing is to find our a, b, and c. So after finding your a, b, c, step 1, multiply a times c. So we have 3 times negative 5 or 3 times 5. We are looking at factors, so you can forget about the negative when it comes to the c. So we have 3 times 5. So 3, 5, 15. Step 2, we find factors for 15. So now let's look at factors for 15. So we have 1 times 15 will give us 15. So that is the first thing. So 1 comma 15 is one factor. And then we have the 3 times 5, because 3 times 5 will also give us 15. Now remember, if I should do 5 times 3, it's the same as 3 times 5. And that is why we don't write every single one of them. We only write those that are needed. So mostly when you're looking for the factors of 15, we don't mostly do it in our notes. You can do it somewhere. The ones that will work is the only ones that we are going to write. So for this one, only the 3, 5 will work, because now we are looking for numbers. Whether I'm subtracting or adding, I must get negative 2. Because if I should take 1 and 15, if I should subtract 1 from 15, I'm not going to get negative 2. If I should subtract 15 from 1, I'm not going to get negative 2. But if I should take the 3 and 5, if I should subtract 3 from 5, I'm going to get positive. So how do I get negative? It means I'm going to subtract the 5 rather from the 3. So it's going to be this way. Now as you are subtracting, make sure you add the x, because the b has a variable x. B has a variable x. So as 3 minus 5 is giving us negative 2x, we can easily replace the 3x minus 5x in place of where the 2x, negative 2x is. So we are changing the whole of the negative 2x, not just the 2x, but the negative 2x. So after replacing, you group. So in grouping, what is common with the first one? So what is common with the first bracket is 3x. So bring 3x out, you'll be left with x plus 1. Now with the second bracket, what is common? 5. So you bring 5, negative 5 out, so you'll be left with x plus 1. And then you can easily simplify by putting those that are outside also into bracket. If the two brackets are the same, you can put those that are outside into one bracket. If there's any confusion in any part, you just let me know. I'll get back to you. Now we have try. So I want you to factorize the quadratic expression. Factorize the following quadratic expression. You can also pause and write some of the questions and then solve. Okay, thank you.